$100 trillion industry. Day 14. This is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a property management platform for real estate, such as homeowner associations or commercial real estate, as well as utilities and government. We do a few different things depending on your industry. We come to your property and do an inspection and a reality capture, and that can entail multiple different aspects and integrate that within a platform that you can manage your assets on, whether that is a homeowner association reserve study or a set of commercial assets determining the condition for valuation, and depending on, again, the stakeholder. Yesterday, we did a few mechanisms related to HOA news, and there were a few things that I was actually going to highlight today. We're trying to do 2 different news outlets a day. I was doing 1 every day, and now I'm going to try to do 2 every weekday. This is kind of just a news post on various platforms such as YouTube and others, TikTok, Instagram, where we're able to just put out some current event items more so than anything and keep people maybe somewhat engaged on what's going on right now within real estate and homeowners associations. Additionally, I was talking about getting assets for an episode of World's Richest Communities. I mentioned that that's probably been in the making for over a year, and that is coming to fruition, episode 1, where we will go through the Billionaire's Bunker, which actually just recently gained notoriety again for Mark Zuckerberg moving there. I think within the last month that occurred, and we were planning this episode for over 6 months. So it's really interesting that the highest profile move, there were many high profile moves in the last 3 months, but the highest profile and location was certainly Mark Zuckerberg's the Island Creek Village in Miami, in the Miami area, South Florida area, with a few other very famous, very rich neighbors. And that property is highly guarded, has a community club, has a golf course in the middle, 41 lots. I believe Jeff Bezos owns 3, or at least at one point owned 3. Some other members of that community own multiple lots as well. I believe Tom Brady, Jared Kushner, of course, Ivanka Trump, Zuckerberg, I believe David Guetta, not sure still. Uh, Multiple very, very well known people live there. And so that will be our episode. And we got some assets from a authorized vendor. And by assets, I mean videos of the location, which is important for understanding, for visualizations. Very important for visualizations. Let me go to Google Post. It's also Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not wearing green, actually. That's terrible. That's terrible. But it is what it is. Let me go. So we did some posts related to St. Patrick's Day, and I'm going to post those to a few other locations as well, just across all platforms. I think it's gravely important. I know it's gravely important because you don't know which platform you're going to be good at, what's going to kick, what's going to not kick. Oh, shit. Great. And then even YouTube has these posts that they aren't um, video based, but they're still, if people are scrolling through YouTube, there's a high chance that they're going to hit one of these. So it's important to post everywhere and engage, 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 engage. Okay, so let's see how many assets I have. So regarding the we have about 5 to 6 different aerial clips. So that's good. We have 5 to 6 different aerial clips. And I guess I want to just speak about this. Attempting to go viral is very difficult. I would say going viral is actually a zero sum game. Most things are not. Entertainment is very often, whether it's sports or 2 nights ago, were the Oscars, winning an Oscar, someone's attention, how much time they're willing to commit to your platform versus another person's platform. Entertainment is very much a zero sum game. Not always, but it seems much more so than other forms of business, which makes it extremely difficult. Does not mean that it's not somewhat important, especially in the age of social media where it takes much more nuance than anything else. Sure, it's hard work, it's dedication, it's time, it's effort, it's consistency, it's making it a part of your professional platform as much as your personal platform. and moving forward. And some people do that very authentically, and other people struggle. We've seen these meme videos of fast food CEOs struggling to eat their products. And that's what we want to work to avoid, is being that. We want to work to avoid having to output some sort of inauthentic, not to say that is inauthentic, but it's certainly being perceived as inauthentic and being memed as inauthentic at the minimum. And you don't want your perception to be of that nature. Perception is reality, and giving people the tools to perceive you in a positive light is important. It's difficult. It becomes very difficult when you have certain emotional attachments to various things that are difficult to ignore or overcome. But giving people the tools to see you in a positive light is an underappreciated skill, especially in business. Not easy. It's also interesting to consider streaming and various other forms of media in relation to the economy. I think it's going to get bigger. Unbelievably, I think it's going to get bigger, and you're just going to see people who have been digital native their nearly their entire lives being a huge part of the economy. Gen Z is going to grow huge. I think they're going to be absolutely huge in the economy. You can already see little grips of it here and there, whether it's these influencers or various other maybe athletes that are having huge impacts within the entertainment sector. And you might see that down the line in the industrial sector. I've seen issues where you have people saying it's difficult for young generations, and they're not as mature in the office, and they don't see themselves as, maybe they're not as committed. And I had an instance once where I was working with younger people, and we were working in a Jira environment. And so all of our points were tracked, and you could tell there were some slackers. And I eventually just printed out the contents of that Jira table and showed it to them and called them out. I said, "Hey, man," or persons, "Hey, persons, there was a huge discrepancy in the amount of work being shown. Some people were at 1 point, a few were at 3, 6, 9, and then you had huge jumps up to 17, between 17 and 22, which was kind of what we deemed to be the acceptable area, because that's where the people who were actually doing work seemed to be inputting their value. And then you had one very high achiever that was like at 48. And so that is an outlier. But you can see, like, and so that's my experience with working with people that are younger than me. In that same sense, I understand we are in a different era. We are in the AI era. The AI era is much more modular. It's very difficult for an entry level technician, certainly someone who's a technologist, because you immediately, when you're a technologist and you're entry level, you can just kind of mimic the existing platform, and you don't really have to do too much design. You can try and do more plug and play mechanisms of going about your work. Not everything is a complex engineering problem. Some things are just, okay, let's see where the patterns here are. Let's try to match up the patterns and go from there. And as I think we're being told, this pattern recognition practice is very easy for AIs to complete effectively. And they're doing it with high accuracy, which is displacing a lot of entry level jobs. And even before the displacement by AI, there was still a different culture around the office where you didn't see people, maybe millennials, being in the same job for 10, 20, 30 years. It was more so you're going to be there for 3, 5, 7 years. Some people are longer. Some people enjoy their work, and that's a good thing. But the rate at which people were willing to move was much higher. And I think there has been a bit of a dystopian, that might be the wrong word, but a dystopian feel towards what a 9 to 5 can provide an individual in the long run, which is interesting. I disagree. I think having a 9 to 5 is a very beautiful thing. It's fairly easy. It can be like stressful. And so, especially if you're in office 5 days a week. I think doing hybrid, maybe 3 days a week, is probably a sweet spot. If you're in the office 5 days a week, I do understand why you wouldn't want to do it. Hybrid, 3 days a week, it's fairly easy. And I mean, if you're fully remote, then it's super easy because you just have to do the work. And a lot of going into an office is preparing for it, getting there, leaving there. I mean, some of the worst and most dangerous traffic is leaving from the office. And so you can get into a terrible accident leaving the office, and that's going to cost you. That's going to take something out of your budget. So that's a cost, and people often don't think about those small costs. Those costs add up. And there's something to be said. Maybe going into an office and being in person with people is the right thing to do. It certainly is. But we all have to stop romanticizing these various things that play into our agenda. This is a life that we live. It's a good life for many people, especially in the USA. And we hope, peace in the world. That's something we all want. Yet, give me one moment. All right, let me get back to work. So I posted that on YouTube and Google. We're good there. Now let me go to, here we go. All right, guys, I have to quit the Hmm. Great. I think it works now. The computer froze briefly, but now it's working. Okay. I understand why people get so upset. If you had like 100,000 people viewing or 2 million people viewing your live stream, how that could be very disruptive and could become very nerve wracking. All right. Man, these things really go by quickly when you're doing something. I'm currently trying to create an alternative to Opus Pro through Qnity. I've got a few things that I'm going to do through Qnity. We've got newsletters, we're going to do articles, and likely create an API through that article as well, to make a service. Um, but that will probably not be for 6 months. To be honest with you, there's a lot of things that we have to shore up before that happens. But post more often, do bigger things. I'm not sure. I really enjoy posting. I really like being engaged with the community. It's not simple, but it's going to work out, I think, and I think it's important to just go, 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 go. So we have world's richest communities. I really want to make that great. I think I'm going to probably record all that, starting tomorrow through Friday, probably Wednesday through Friday, maybe during the live stream even. Um, because why not? Why not? And I've gotten some interest from publishers to publish, but I have to be very careful when you do that. You have to be very careful. Okay, now I'm getting ready for the second one for today. This is good. Just keep posting more stuff. And it'll work itself out. It'll work itself out. I don't think HOAs can continue to be nonprofit organizations. Based off of what I saw yesterday that there's a huge bankruptcy thing going on, and I saved it, and I'm actually going to check it out today as well. I might do a post on it, or actually invite that guy, because there's actually it seems like it. It seems like there's going to be this huge kind of infrastructure collapse that affects residential property owners. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems as though the markets, the insurance market, the real estate market, the state of American infrastructure is all colliding in along with the silver tsunami being the huge retirement of the baby boomer generation. And it's all colliding into this one thing. I don't think I spoke about this, but let me go ahead and speak about this now. This is about the news event that I'm posting about St. Louis woman accused of stealing $17,000 from HOA. One Florissant woman is facing a dozen charges after allegedly spending more than $17,000 on an HOA debit card. Wedgwood Homeowners Association contacted police after noticing a number of unauthorized purchases and withdrawals between July and November 2025. They told officers this individual had access to the banking account as the treasurer. Transactions included multiple cash withdrawals, Apple Cash transactions, a few hotel and airline tickets. In total, approximately $17,500 was stolen from the HOA bank account. Police were able to investigate the transaction through subpoenas submitted to businesses where the debit card was used. Bell had agreed to pay her landlord $8,000 on July 2nd, 2025, which is when $7,600 was withdrawn from the bank in one day. That's interesting that Bell had a landlord, yet is a treasurer for an HOA. I wonder how that works. 7 counts of stealing $750 or more and 5 counts of fraudulent use of a credit/debit card. Voted out of her position as treasurer on November 4th. The debit card, checkbook, treasurer's report, PO box key, and other tax documents were returned to the HOA, and this individual submitted a forged document stating she was the owner of the items through marriage. However, the actual property owner stated that he was never married to her. Whoa. That is strange. That's just a strange. This isn't written very appropriately, but either way, it is what it is. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Hopefully, you all have a great day. And hopefully, you all